What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Phaithful Phanatics show live here on DSM-Media's Philadelphia YouTube channel on this beautiful Victory Monday morning. I am one half of your host this morning, Dylan Davis. To my left, my faithful co-host, Scotty. Guys, if you are new to the channel, make sure to support, tap in by smashing that subscribe button. It's the best spot to get your thoughts, comments, and questions pulled up here on the screen with your host. The Eagles take down the Dallas Cowboys to improve to 8-1 on the year, 28-23. Yes, that game may have taken 19 years off my lifespan, Scotty. It wasn't the prettiest at the end. In fact, it was very, very ugly at the end. We're going to break it all down from start to finish, all 60 minutes. But the bottom line at the end of the day, the most important number is that the Eagles went 1-0 this week and continued to build their lead and extend their lead in the division over the Dallas Cowboys. My man, what is happening on this Victory Monday?
You already know, man, exactly what it says on the screen. Go fucking Birds. Victory Monday for the boys. Victory formation, all of the above. Even, unfortunately, what TR commented, Dallas Goedert's wrist/forearm fractured. That's the bittersweet part of things. But nonetheless, we get a bye week right in time where things are looking a little beat up. We had a couple guys go down last night, but still come out with the W. Dallas did what Dallas always does. That is so true. For a moment there, though, guys, I'll be honest, Dylan, before we get into this game in depth, it was definitely also feeling like a typical Eagles loss to Dallas at some points. And that's what was bothering me throughout the game. But luckily, the Eagles were able to come out on top of this one and take care of home field advantage. That's all you can ask for. I know a lot of Dallas fans are acting like there's consolation prizes outside of winning. Those don't exist. Dak come out, 374, 3 touchdowns, no turnovers, an L. It doesn't matter. There's no consolation prizes. But nonetheless, happy Victory Monday, my friend.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of complaints about the zebras and the stripes on social media. And don't get me wrong, they were far from perfect for both teams, and I can get why Dallas had a beef at some points throughout that game. However, you guys do realize that the whistles got you from your own 14 to our 6-yard line in about 20 seconds to put you in a position to win the game, and then you were unable to do so. And I'm going to start there with the quarterbacks and Dak Prescott and Jalen Hurts. Dak Prescott did what he seems to do against this Eagles team, no matter who the defensive coordinator is, who the corners are. It does not matter. He shredded this defense up and down the field between the 20s, man. That is the bottom line. The dude threw for over 370 yards, 3 touchdowns. He took care of the football. He did not turn it over. But at the end of the day, it was just more of the same empty numbers. When the plays mattered most late in the game, the 2-point conversion, to not have the awareness to keep your foot in bounds, you're being chased by 92-year-old Brandon Graham. Dak's got to get that corner. He steps out of bounds, unable to convert on the 2-point conversion. Like I said, 27 seconds left, 30 seconds left. You're on the 6-yard line. You're able to run all 4 plays, even with no timeouts, with no issue. You're unable to convert because of sacks and penalties and missed opportunities. The fact that he snapped the ball to continue to waste time and throw one out the back of the end zone instead of clocking it and coming up with a better play to save time, it made no sense. And on the other side of things, yes, he barely threw for over 200 yards. Yes, he took a nasty hit to that knee. Jalen Hurts made more big plays, more winning plays, whatever you want to call it, however you want to slice it, than Dak Prescott did. That throw to Devontae Smith out of halftime, man, was arguably Jalen Hurts' greatest throw of his career. I know we say that time and time again. He made a bunch in the Super Bowl. This dude was spot on the 2 drives out of the half to extend their lead to 28-17. They never gave the lead back to Dallas. Obviously, we'll talk about how things got very, very scary there late in the third and all of the fourth quarter defensively. One thing that people I don't think are talking about enough, I know I did just praise Jalen Hurts, and I thought that Brian Johnson called a hell of a game for most of this game. When the Eagles went up 28-17, they didn't convert a first down after that.
Yeah.
And that bothered me more so than the defensive issues.
Yeah.
So we're going to get into it all. Not all of it's sunshine and rainbows today, but Absolutely. That was my biggest takeaway. The numbers don't show it, but Jalen Hurts made the bigger plays when they mattered most, more so than his opponent and Dak Prescott did.
Yeah, I think the Eagles did what the Eagles do, and that was assert their dominance. They didn't give the Cowboys any opportunities to take advantage of, big, huge mistakes outside of those penalties late in the game. And yeah, I thought they handled business. Obviously, we weren't able to run the football like as good as we would like, right? As we were talking about going into this game. So they found alternative routes, right? And we saw some misdirection. We saw some different packages in the backfield, and you saw some, 2 running back sets, right? With
I loved it
and DeAndre. That is how that's a great point. That is how I want Kenneth Gainwell used. Like that outside sweep with Gainwell on a misdirection in a time that's not a running down. It's not predictable. Now that is what I'm talking about. Like when you're putting Gainwell out there primarily as a pass protector, and then you run a sweep outside the tackle. That is what I'm talking about, and it goes for a touchdown instantly. If you're going to use Kenneth Gainwell in exchange for DeAndre Swift, it needs to be creative. It can't be obvious. And that was my whole issue with Kenneth Gainwell from the jump. Obviously, he's not as good as Swift. He's not as talented, but there are ways that you can use him effectively. But aside from that, I thought the Eagles got very creative in this game where it felt like any little mistake could really sway this game in one direction. And I think both teams were kind of abiding by that, right? Like not taking too many risks that could result in a turnover. And ultimately, you don't see any turnovers in this game. Everybody protects the football, and the Eagles were able to take advantage of their opportunities more than Dallas was. And it speaks to, kind of the other numbers that everybody ignored going into this game. And that's the fact that Jalen Hurts has the best passer rating when trailing in clutch moments late in games, and Dak has the worst passer rating in those situations. So we saw that kind of play out just with the littlest mental mistakes that you could honestly make as Dak Prescott in this Cowboys offense, right? They had a great game. You mentioned it. They shredded the defense. And that is something that the Eagles got to get figured out over this bye week, that middle of the field, because if you think Jake Ferguson or whatever the fuck his name is cooking, imagine what Travis Kelce will do to this motherfucking defense. So I
think that's where
big overlying shadow going into the bye week. You need to get that shit figured out. But
absolutely, and Bradley Roby will be back after the bye. Yeah,
typical.
I agree 1,000%. But dude, I think yesterday was the perfect example of why we hate the 8 yards off the line of scrimmage, give up everything underneath, keep everything in front of you type of defense. Because at the end of the day, it felt like our defense just got its ass taken yesterday, right?
We had 5 sacks. They only gave up 23 points. And it didn't feel like it.
Exactly. That's my point. They only gave up 23 points.
Yeah.
But it felt like Dallas could do whatever they wanted to do.
It felt like 45.
3rd down, 4th down, 3rd and 15, 3rd and forever. Hell, Scotty, the final play of the game was from the 27-yard line, and he threw an easy completion to the 2. Thank God there were 5 Eagles there, and then I'm sure that was the plan to just. But I mean, I was hoping maybe if they were going to throw something like that, it'd be to like the 6, the 7, the 8.
Bro, like the 3rd and the 4th downs, the 3rd and longs, the 4th and longs. How do you not know it's going to CeeDee Lamb? Like it's going to CeeDee Lamb. The ball is going to CeeDee Lamb. This isn't the Eagles offense that we were opposing yesterday, where you got Dallas Goedert on one side, you got Smitty on the outside. That's not the case. But yet, CeeDee Lamb, I'm watching on 3rd and long until the end of the game. They finally let Slay follow him. Until the end of the game, I'm watching Eli Ricks line up across from their only great player on offense. Their only great player on offense. I'm watching Eli Ricks line up opposite of him. Saw a linebacker a couple different times line up opposite of him. Stuff like that is the confusing part. And the thing that gets me is they know better. The Eagles know better because they put Slay on them in the late part of the game. So you know better, and Slay did a better job. Yeah. So why not just do it from the jump?
Until Sidney Brown got the assignment in the slot on the second to last drive or last drive, I forget. But it was a slant to the left side of the field, and he picked up however much, and then obviously the play to take them to the 5 or 6 yard line or the 11 before the offsides call. I mean, he was just wide open on the left boundary, and then just ran for another 10, 11 yards. It felt like it was wild to watch.
Did it not feel like blown cover? Like guys are just not, obviously they're not doing their job, but like they're not finishing their coverages. They're not finishing their responsibilities or something. Yeah. I know a lot of it was broken plays too on top of it.
Yes. And I also need our defensive backs to just stay upright. Yeah. I mean, the amount of defensive backs I watched just fall down or trip or stumble over their own 2 feet yesterday was unbelievable. I know we're talking about CD Lamb getting put on rookies, and that was the biggest storyline of the day. But my God, James Bradbury got his lunch money taken by the punt returner yesterday. Yeah, on multiple different plays late in the game. Now, I will say this: I want to try to get the uglies and the negatives out of the way now, so we can focus more on the positive. I am not mad. Like I'm not taking away something negative that I'm looking forward to, that I'm looking at in the future. But I will say, we just spent a lot of time talking about the defense, and they were not great by any stretch of the imagination yesterday.
Not what I wanted to see.
But my beef late in the game, fourth quarter, is with the offense.
Yeah.
And as great as he was, as many winning plays as he made, Jalen became an issue for a play or two, and Brian Johnson came back to be an issue late in this game. They went up 28-17. They then got a 4th down stop right where the dude's knee hit right before the goal line. That's late in the third quarter, okay? The offense never recorded another first down after going up 28-17. 3 and out, 3 and out, 3 and out. The final 3 and out, DeAndre Swift and A.J. Brown run into each other and almost give Dallas the ball on our own 30. That would have been game over. I know they got down the field in 2 seconds anyway. That would have been game over if you start there.
Just a little add in there. Guys, hold on to the fucking football. I mean, seriously. God.
Seriously.
Back-to-back weeks, we have running backs fumbling the football. It was Kenny G last week. You had Swift twice in this game. Hurts, the whole team. Hold on to the goddamn football, man. It could have turned upside down a couple different times in this game. If Swift doesn't recover his fumble back early in that game, that's beside your point, though. Nonetheless,
I agree with you, man, because those are game-changing type of mistakes. And another game-changing type of mistake, again, the dude was lights out. He was 17 for 23. The fact that he was able to come out and put those 2 possessions together out of the half after taking that hit to that injured knee was unbelievable. But Scotty, not the play call and then the decision by Jalen on 3rd and 3 to throw a go ball down the left sideline to stop the clock. That's uncatchable. First of all, you run the football. You run the football and make them use another timeout, right? That was the second to last time we had the ball in the fourth quarter, okay?
Yeah.
Then if you're going to decide to throw the ball, you need 3 yards, man. What are you throwing a 25-yard go route on the boundary for?
And that's where you go and that's where you start to question Jalen, right? Because
that's on him, bro.
He can draw the play up however the fuck he wants. There's going to be multiple options on this passing play.
I don't care if you slide and take him in there.
You know what it is, man? You know what that is? It's greedy. It's greedy. You're trying to go and you're trying to have this splash play and outright win the game. And I feel it. I get it. But not on 3rd and 3 in that part of the game.
Dallas should have never gotten the ball back the last 2 times they had it.
No, it should have been a run, exactly like you said, on that 3rd and 3. Run the football. I don't even care if it's a Kenny G run. Run the football. It's very simple. It's several times this season where that has happened, and it hasn't come back to bite us. But it will.
Yeah.
It will bite us because context, if that is the Kansas City Chiefs, if that is the Cincinnati Bengals, if that is any other quarterback in the NFL that is elite, they're winning that game. That ball is getting in the end zone.
The issue, Scotty, is this was the game plan from the opening drive. When you get in those third and short situations, they were setting up just to get to 4th and 1. And I know that sounds even crazier and even more ballsy, because if you somehow get stuffed on 4th and 1, then you give Dallas the ball. Like, do you even go for it? Do you punt it? They're not stopping you, bro. Michael Parsons literally was crowd surfing on the goal line when we were on our own goal line and did it because of the push this line and Jalen gets. They're not stopping you if you need a yard and a half.
I do feel you. The tush push, like, why not? And you talk about, like, knockout punches. That is the biggest knockout punch that you
What did I text you? What did I text you that drive? I said, here's that Eagles drive. That drive where they don't get the ball back. They know we're going to run it. We're going to line up, and they can't stop us. And we didn't do that.
Yeah. No, now, I completely agree.
With that said,
Penny, too. It got to see him for a carry or two, right? Got a couple yards, didn't see him again. I don't know. It is interesting that out of all the options.
Yep. And the play calling was far too conservative with the game on the line. To Martian's point up here, man, he said, we had the ball for 3 minutes and 0 first downs in the entire fourth quarter. On 2 possessions. 3 minutes, 2 possessions. And that just can't happen. Now, with that said, there's the negatives, okay?
Yeah.
Got that off my chest. Eagles headed into the bye week, get healthier. Hopefully, obviously not Dallas Goedert. Dirty-ass tackle. Dirty-ass hits in the knee. I can't stand that team, man. Yeah, and they had the balls to flag Hassan Reddick for roughing the passer when he made contact with Dak's back and then literally tried to, like, grab him to hold him up because it was accidental.
You know,
they throw the flag in that spot. Pretty funny.
You know, that is why that team is just so, like, I hate them so much. Like, I hate playing them again. It just reminds you. I think the 49ers, like, distracted me for, like, half a season up until this point yesterday. But God, I hate those cockroaches, man. Like, the disrespect of these motherfuckers. Like, what they did to Jason Kelce in the end zone, too. The number 33, I don't even know who the hell he is. Hit him in his face, pulled his helmet off his head, and then you see Jason Kelce just letting it all out.
I need the audio. So much. I need the audio from that.
If
anyone has it, if a ref's mic picked it up, whatever the case may be, I need to hear the scream.
I can't wait to
just barbaric scream that man let out in another human being's face. Just for
pure insanity.
Yeah. Just chaos, dude.
Pure chaos, man. I loved it. That is like Jason Kelce, the epitome. Like, that is him. Like, that is the spirit animal of the Philadelphia Eagles right there, man, at the forefront.
To continue to get some more positives, again, the Eagles put up 28 points. They were able to convert 4 different times against this Dallas Cowboys defense. And really, nothing jumps off the page at you. And that's another positive I take away is, man, this team can just beat you in so many different ways, in so many ugly kind of ways as well. That's the beautiful thing about this offense. I mean, we did not run the ball for great success. DeAndre Swift averaged under 2.5 yards per carry. Gainwell only carried the ball 3 times, right? Penny 2 times for 8 yards. We ran for over 100 as a team, but averaged 3.3 yards per carry. Like I said, Jalen only threw for 207.
Yeah.
No one went. AJ led the team with 7 for 66. That was the most. They didn't have a breakout game from AJ. They didn't have, a ridiculous rushing attack yesterday, but yet they still scored 4 times against a defense that is considered one of the best in the league.
Yeah.
That's a positive to take away. You didn't do anything ultra dominant yesterday, but you still found a way to convert and get up when it mattered most to extend that lead to a 2-possession game. Again, dude, Scotty, that the catch was amazing, the footwork, the everything, but Smitty is incredible. That throw was mother effing perfect.
Arguably his best throw of his career.
Seriously, dude. Yeah. Like, I know we go back to like the Goddard throw on 4th down in the Super Bowl. Like, there's been moments where you're like, wow, that's his best throw. That's with the knee from the 30, like that was just absolutely a perfect dart.
I said to after he made that throw, I looked at Alexis and I said, man, they just shot him up with the same shit they shot Pat Mahomes up in the Super Bowl, man. Because that dude came out of half. There was no limp. There was nothing. My man just let it fly out there. Let me fix my camera here. Get that glare.
There we go. Yeah, but, that's sun, man. That's
sun. It's coming in. Happy Monday. But no, I completely agree with everything you said there, man. And as I'm looking at these numbers, it's actually crazy, right? It's crazy to think about and look at these numbers. The time of possession equal, 3 for 3 in the red zone. The Cowboys were 3 for 5. You had the 1 turnover, right, from the Cowboys at the end of the game.
Right. So it didn't matter.
Does that really matter?
No.
So pretty much clean football across the board here. The conversions, the passing yards. Cowboys had more yards overall, more plays ran.
What about sacks? Talk to me about sacks.
Let me find the sacks here, man. I know the Eagles had 5.
I can tell you who had more.
How many did the Cowboys have?
I know that the Cowboys didn't have 5 sacks.
They had 3.
They had 3.
They had 3.
Yeah.
So the Eagles had more sacks. The thing is, the funny part, the first downs from penalties that I'm seeing here, and it's funny because the Cowboys fans are talking about the refs.
Yeah.
But the Cowboys had 5 first downs from penalties, and the Eagles had 3. So,
what
are we really complaining about there?
You mean when they had 2nd and 15 and we got called for illegal contact and it's an automatic first down?
Let me ask you this, man. Let me ask you this. When we look at this game, obviously, I think from Eagles' perspective here, when we look at this game, obviously, the Eagles come out with a W. You look at the numbers, it could have gone either way in reality. But I would say the Eagles could play much better football against the Cowboys in general. They could play much better football.
And
the Cowboys play better than they played yesterday.
Yeah.
You think so?
Can they play better?
Can they? Is that the Cowboys' best shot? Now, like, obviously, Dak, if he just
I think I think it is, man. Like, I get it was a game of inches for them. And if he gets the 2-point conversion, they don't need a touchdown. They're in field goal range the last 2 times. Obviously, you have the 1 touchdown that's inches away. Like, I get it. Like, the game could have very easily been flipped by this much, right? Of grass. But at the end of the day, like you said, like, Dak didn't turn the ball over.
Right.
Now, I know Jalen has more turnovers than him this year, so it's like kind of hypocritical for us to like poke fun at that. But we know the history of Dak. We know what happened last year with Dak Prescott and turning the football over, right? I watched him turn the ball over multiple times against an Arizona Cardinals team when they were trying to come from behind. Like, Dak took care of the ball. Yeah. They did whatever they wanted on 3rd and 4th downs. They ran the ball with success, man. Like Tony Pollard, it just felt like kept picking up chunk after chunk. They just didn't run it enough. He averaged over 4 yards per carry. They just gave up on it.
They couldn't play any better in their trenches. Like, they couldn't play any better on the offensive and defensive lines.
Right.
Like, we went into that game, I said the Eagles should dominate them. The Eagles didn't necessarily dominate them on the line of scrimmage. And so to that point, can it get much better? Because I feel like the Eagles – there was a lot of times, even with 5 sacks, and I think that's why at the beginning of the show,
Dak slipped out of at least 2 or 3.
Yeah, he slipped out of 2 or 3. It felt like at times he's just standing back in the pocket for 9 seconds, right? So I think there's meat left on the bone for the Eagles, and then the Cowboys. It just feels like we might have just got their best shot in Philadelphia. Maybe I'm over or underestimating the Cowboys and what they're capable of, but. You have Nakobe Dean go down late in that game. Darius Slay goes down. James Bradbury goes down at one point. Goddard obviously goes out. A lot of different things happened in this game, and yet the Eagles still come out on top. Right. And I think, like you said, I think that is a positive when you look back on this matchup. Yeah. I don't know, man. It's a weird game now that I'm really looking into the numbers.
It was bonkers. I mean, Scotty, that game should just think about the final drive. Like that game should have been over on no timeouts, 45 seconds on their own 14. I mean, that's
so. What would you give Brian Johnson like grade wise for that game as far as like play calling, personnel?
That's an interesting question.
It's tough,
B
man.
plus?
That 3rd and 3.
A B plus?
Disgusting.
I'd probably
B
give him
feels right.
a B to B plus, and an 85.
Still put up 28 points.
Scored 28. We're perfect in the red zone.
Yeah.
Threw in a couple different wrinkles, like you mentioned, with the 2 running back sets.
The AJ Brown touchdown. That was a beautiful play call as well, man.
Like he did a lot of things that extended the lead, but it would have been an A if you would have just done your job one time in the final 3 possessions.
Yeah.
Like that's the bot. Like, dude, again, to not pick up a first down in your final 3 possessions is definitely worthy of deducting points from your score. Like,
and you know what bothers me about it? And this is gonna sound weird after I just complained that we threw the ball down the field to AJ Brown on 3rd and 3, but you're playing the Cowboys. Now's not the time to get conservative. You know what I mean? Like last week against Washington, they didn't get conservative. Like they allowed Swift. They did a fake tush push or fake kneel and let Swift run into the end zone. I'm not saying that you need to go down the field late in the game. Obviously, I just complained about 3rd and 3 deep shot, but you also just don't have to go full blown conservative and go 3 and out every drive after you go up 28-17. It's odd, man. It's still, you know what it is, man. You look back at this game, and once again, with the Birds, and it's a good thing, honestly, going into a bye week, and you have a lot of the season left to go. You have some tough competition ahead. The Eagles still just haven't played their best football. It's actually crazy to think about. They're 8-1, and they haven't played a complete game yet.
Someone, maybe Colin Cowherd, and this kind of goes along with Marshawn Lynch's point. How much adversity they've dealt with, and the way they've battled through it. The only time they couldn't really figure things out was against the Jets in their 1 loss.
Seriously,
I believe it was Colin Cowherd who rubs me the wrong way a lot.
Yeah.
Like the dude pisses me off a ton.
Absolutely.
But he said this morning after the Eagles beat the Cowboys that this is just part of the Eagles' identity, and it's why they're built for November, December, January. They win ugly, and that's not a bad thing. It's they just find ways to win. They find ways to beat you down in different moments, in different spots.
Very gritty.
Exactly. So, people like to deduct points for ugly wins.
Yeah.
But yet they're the only 8-1 team in the league. That's the point. And it's a way that he said he thinks a lot of their games coming up, like against the Chiefs, the Niners, the Bills, etc., are going to be 1 possession games down to the wire. The defense might rub you the wrong way, but they're going to get the job done at the end of the day. And that's the biggest thing. Another thing I want to say, man, is everyone keeps talking about the schedule, right? And to go back to Marshawn Lynch's point up here, this stat is wild. And then it's, because he's not loud about anything he does, right? He moves in the shadows. But this kid, again, I criticized him for the 3rd down throw, and he's part of the issue with the play calling and not getting and not doing enough to pick up first downs. But again, he beats you. He just finds ways to make that play and this play in the key moments to get the job done. And people keep bringing up the schedule like it's going to continue, and it does. It continues to get tougher. But guess what, Scotty? This schedule that's so scary 3 weeks ago was 2 games longer.
Yeah.
And they won both.
We're halfway through this.
You know what I mean? This schedule that people are looking at now of Kansas City, Buffalo, the Niners. A few weeks ago, it was Miami, Dallas, Kansas City, Buffalo, the Niners. And they're 2-0 on that schedule. So stop throwing the schedule in my face, because this team finds ways to win.
And the crazy part is the Eagles win 3 of their next 5 games. The 1 seed wrapped up. The Lions will be who we're competing with for the 1 seed at this point. And to your point about Jalen, and to Marshawn Lynch's point about him being 12-0, that on top of it, man, imagine how tough this guy has to be mentally, physically. Like, the pain is obviously there. Like, it's there.
Yeah.
Like, we saw it at the end of the half. I think we were all holding our breath. We're like
1,000%.
getting like visions of Marcus Mariota like coming onto the field.
By the way, I thought that was a penalty, when you hit a quarterback low. And no, for everyone out there, he wasn't pushed into the quarterback's legs because our offensive lineman wasn't down there shoving him yet.
Yeah.
He was in front of DeMarcus Lawrence.
He was trying to hit Jalen by any means necessary.
Yeah, and he got him right in the kneecap and bent his knee backwards. And, pretty sure that's rough in the passer, but, whatever.
Absolutely. But shout out to Jalen, man. Tough son of a gun. Doesn't even go out of the game. Comes back in the game, obviously runs the clock out to end the half, and he comes back out and throws arguably his best pass of his career. So it just speaks to like the mental capacity that he's working with as the leader of this team. But looking ahead, man, that was just such a huge W. And the Cowboys, when you look back, you look at how the game played out. Yeah, the Cowboys, hopefully they did give their best shot because it was that big of a game.
They definitely did.
For both sides. You look at what the Cowboys have left, man. Obviously, next 2 weeks, they got the Giants, the Panthers, then the Commanders, right? So maybe they win 3 in a row. Maybe they bounce back. After that, you have the Seahawks, the Eagles, the Buffalo Bills, the Miami Dolphins, the Detroit Lions, and then the Commanders again to end the season. So all the talk about the Eagles' schedule, the only difference that the Cowboys aren't going to see is the Kansas City Chiefs. Everybody else in the Eagles' schedule, they've already seen San Fran
and they've lost.
They've seen us, they've lost, and then they're going to go on to play everybody, but then also the Detroit Lions, who, if they beat them, well, thank you. We need you to beat the Lions.
Yeah.
It's a win-win. Like,
I agree.
They could go 9-0 the rest of the season, and if we win 3 out of our next 5, we still get the 1 seed and win the NFC East. It's actually crazy. It's crazy.
I agree,
We're not going to go 9-0 the rest of the year.
I agree, and no one's coming in here in January and beating this team again. The last thing I'll say, we talked a lot about the offense with positives and all well-deserved. And the defense was something to watch yesterday at times. But that defensive front, man, just, again, timely. In the bigger moments. Like, everyone talks about that Dallas pass rush and so on and so forth. Well, the Eagles were missing their right guard. Hell, they went to a rookie to start yesterday who had a couple penalty issues early on in this game. And you come up with 3 sacks in moments that don't matter. Yeah. Like the Micah Parsons 1 sack was after DeMarcus Lawrence hit him in the knee to end the half. It didn't matter. So you look at it from that point, and then you get to the Eagles. And you and I came on here last week, me more so than anything, talked about how I still love Brandon Graham, and he's an all-time Eagle, but his time looks like it's coming up, right? You limit the snap counts. And they did. He hasn't been on the field a ton, but my goodness, he's on the field late in the game, and BG finds a way to disrupt not 1, but 2 plays in the backfield to help get to Dak Prescott. Josh Sweat getting in the backfield. Jalen Carter helping clean things up. Hassan Reddick gets to him. Oh, my God.
The all-out effort of BG to chase Dak Prescott to that line.
To the boundary.
That is what makes that play not happen. Dak could have walked into the end zone if BG doesn't give that effort, man.
Yeah.
That's what it's all about. That's the one thing. And we look back now, hindsight's 2020, obviously. Glad BG was in there in that spot to make that play and have that ability there. But that is why you do give him the opportunities, even in his latter years here, because you know that he's going to play with 120% energy when he's out there on the field, man. Yeah. And we needed a play. We needed a play from somebody at that point in the game.
You don't move them. If you don't move them behind the chains, if you don't push them backwards at all, you're losing that game. If their line of scrimmage stays at the 10-yard line, they're converting, man. Now, I know they had a penalty mixed in there and it moved them back 5 yards or whatever, but it was those sacks that realistically ended the game. Scotty, I'll throw another stat at you. Eagles had 5 sacks. Cowboys had 3. Cowboys had 4 quarterback hits. The Eagles had 10. So, but again, did it seem that way? Because we're sitting here freaking out about how our pass rush just Dak has all the time in the world and they're picking us apart underneath. When in reality, it was quite the. If we think that about our pass rush in the moment, I can't imagine what other teams and like Dallas thought yesterday.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like if we got to Dak 10 times and knocked him on his ass and we're still bitching that it's just nowhere near enough, but they only got to Jalen 4 times to knock him down. I can't imagine what it looked like from their perspective.
Because, man, the thing for me, when I'm looking back on this game, we were, maybe 2 or 3 Hassan Reddick finished sacks in the first half from completely blowing them out of the water and shutting their offense down. Like, if Hassan Reddick, and mind you, I say this in hindsight once again, Dak Prescott always does that against the Eagles. Creates extra opportunities with his legs. Yeah. Somehow he turns it into the most mobile quarterback ever against the Eagles in the pocket. And he escapes sacks, right? But Hassan Reddick had 2 or 3 times in big moments in that first half where if he just tackles Dak at the spot, the drive's over. And he missed out on 2 or 3 of those opportunities. Even with missing those, he still came up with a sack in the first half. But that him specifically, there were other points in the game as well, right? Where different guys made mistakes.
I mean, Scotty, if we're being completely honest, 2 of his completions, both of which were on 3rd and longs. Again, it's bad on the Eagles secondary, and Eli Ricks was involved, and you just have to find a way to break up that pass or do whatever. Yeah. But Greg Olsen even said it on the first one. I don't think Dak knew who he was throwing the ball to.
Yeah.
There were 2 Cowboys receivers and 2 Eagles DBs within 3 feet of each other. Yeah. And it just so happened that Dallas caught both of them, which is bad on the Eagles corner.
Right?
One was Ferguson. I think another was a receiver, though. But it could have both been him. But, yeah. Like, I don't think he knew, like, who he was throwing the ball to. And he got away with it. And that's bad on us, but again, you try that again, it might not work out for you, man.
Yeah, that is something that Reed Blankenship, shout out to him last night, made a couple big plays down the stretch. Yeah. Shout out to Reed, man. He does show up in the big moments, even by the littlest instances. And that goal line play, that was the littlest but most impactful instance that he came up getting that 4th down stop against Schoonmaker or whatever his name is, tight end, the backup tight end. But yeah, he even said after the game that he had seen that formation earlier in the game when they scored the touchdown earlier in the game with Jake Ferguson. Read it, was already in the spot.
He was able to get underneath the route to the initial, which would have been kind of a screen to open up the tight end easily as well. So Reed was great. I think that is a big thing to take away. Like, don't get me wrong, Reed can get beat up in coverage a little bit. I think Washington did it to him a little bit before the interception. But at the end of the day, if you took all of our secondary pieces yesterday, Reed Blankenship was by far the most solid for the entire 60 minutes. Yeah. Kevin Byard had mistakes, right? Mental mistakes with the shove. Now, again, should have been a penalty on Cowboys for pulling him off the pile. But you can't react in that moment and give them the shorter field there, right? He got beat a couple times in coverage. Obviously made the one pop in the backfield with on Tony Pollard. But Kevin Byard wasn't at his best yet so far as an Eagle. Slay got beat a couple times. Bradbury, we obviously know what happened in the slot. Right. Like, so Reed was by far the most solid in yesterday's ball game in terms of secondary play. But yeah, man, all in all, we could talk about what they need to continue to fix because yesterday was not perfect by any stretch of the imagination. But they are 8-1. They hold the number 1 seed in the NFC. They hold the best record in the NFL right now. They're heading into a bye week to relax, get healthier as much as they can, and kind of figure out some of these issues, right? So it is a great time to be an Eagles fan.
What do you think to address the Dallas Goedert thing? Obviously, he's going to be out. They say 4 weeks, probably 5 weeks, right?
Well, first I'll call it what it is. It's a dirty-ass tackle. I tweeted it out when it happened.
I'm so sick of it,
dirty tackle. And I don't know what you can even call it because it's not like it wasn't a face mask. It wasn't a horse collar. It wasn't – he didn't dive at his knee. But the bottom line is, Dallas Goedert was stiff-arming him. I get it. You hand foot. You pull the arm down. Whatever. The bottom line is when you pulled his arm – You wrapped it up, never let it go, and drove him into the ground with your body weight on top of it, and didn't let go until you were both on the ground. It's a dirty play.
That's what I said to my wife. Like, when you're going in and you're making that play, like, okay, you got the tackle, you got a hold of him, he's going down, and you follow through with your weight so much to where you probably feel his forearm crack. You know what I mean? Like, that's gross. Like, to do that with intent, like, it's weird. Like, to me, like to go in with that mindset, and it's obvious they were playing with that type of intent yesterday, man. Like, that's why I don't like the Cowboys like at all. It sucks for Dallas Goedert because it just feels like this always happens like off of a dirty play.
Yeah.
And the simple truth about that play, man, it's not illegal. It should be for you to pull somebody down by their arm and go full weight. Anything like that, it's dangerous. Just push him out of bounds. Like, you're at the sideline, push him out of bounds.
Yep.
Like, why do you have to break his arm on this play?
Right. Again, arm tackle is a thing. Man. The second you start to bring him to the ground and Goddard's body is going straight down vertically, you release. Yeah, you might fall on the arm still and it's an accident. You release.
Yeah.
He held on to it and just drove him in. At first, I thought I thought he like ripped his shoulder out or something.
Yeah. It was a legitimate armbar to the ground. Like, he legitimately locked him up like it was UFC or something. And it's just annoying, man. It's annoying because last year you see Goddard get his face mask ripped. He fumbles. There's no call for the face mask, and he tears his shoulder completely.
Oh, who was that against, by the way?
That was against the Commanders.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, you're right. He did get his face mask ripped against the Cowboys on Christmas Eve.
Yes. That did happen as well. Yes. So that in mind, obviously, it is a dirty play. How do you address that? Like, do you think they signed someone? I don't think it's going to be
I don't know if there's anyone out there. I saw Hunter say sign Gronk. He ain't coming. Even though that would be incredibly funny. But,
it would be awesome.
And to be honest, hey, man, Alberto time, right? Alberto's got to be the pass catching big body target for now because Calcaterra and Stoll, they're good in pass protection. They're good in run block. They're not pass catching tight ends. And obviously we survived without them last year. You've got DeAndre Swift to help alleviate. You got AJ on a different level this
Julio,
year.
Man.
I think there's ways to alleviate it, but I would definitely you definitely activate Alberto and just at least get him acclimated and see if even if you only use them inside the 15-yard line as a 10-yard line as a red zone target, you do something to alleviate that hole there. I think luckily,
you know, Smitty, he could use some more targets. Obviously, AJ Brown's in his zone, so there's options there. You brought in Julio, you got OZ, you got a couple different options there. Yeah, like D-Rab said, it's cold out. Let's run the goddamn football. Baby. That's what it's about. You're gonna want to run the football against the Chiefs, anyways, man. You gotta dominate the trenches. But
yes, sir.
Great W, man.
Beautiful. But the Eagles weren't only the only team in Philadelphia to go 1-0 over the weekend. Scotty, the Sixers finish up the show talking some Sixers here, guys. Feel free to comment. They take on the Washington Wizards tonight, looking to extend. Looking to improve to 5-1. Excuse me, brain fart there. But they are 4-1 on the young season. Obviously, their loss coming in the season opener in Milwaukee by a point, man. But Scotty, I can't believe I'm saying this, and it was Dallas week, and I'm obviously ready to go week to week with our 8-1 Eagles. But I cannot believe how excited I am to watch the Sixers on a nightly basis. How excited I am to come on here Monday, Wednesday, and Friday and on pregame shows and talk about this team right now with the way they're playing. It's 5 games in. I know we got to relax. I get it, but they look really, really good. I know that's a Phoenix Suns team over the weekend that was missing Bradley Beal still. I know Devin Booker was out as well. It's still a team with Kevin Durant. Okay. And at the end of the day, any team with Kevin Durant has a very, very good shot to win. And not only did the Sixers win this game, they led for almost the entirety of the 48 minutes, man. And they led by 5, 6, 7, 8 for almost the majority of the second half. It felt like hell. Joel Embiid, I don't even think stepped foot on the floor. If my memory goes back that far in the fourth quarter.
No.
That's what the Sixers were able to do to extend their lead right now. They are top 5, as TR is saying, in offense and defense. They're a top rebounding team, and they're only one of 2 teams, or that RB tweeted this. They're one of 2 teams, or they're the only team with 2 guys in the top 10 scoring average to start the year in Tyrese Maxey and Joel Embiid. Tyrese Maxey has been a difference maker. And I love what Nick Nurse had to say on his birthday after the game. It's not enough. It's not enough.
22, 10, and 5, the floor.
It's not enough because he's too gun shy early in the game. He's got to find ways to get acclimated early on in the game. Joel looks like he's bad. Joel's just in MVP form, man. And he's not going to get the love because they gave it to him last year. And obviously that whole back and forth, people are going to be done with it. He's playing like maybe the best player in the league over the last 4 games, okay, early on in the year. Kelly Oubre Jr., we thought we wanted him to stay on the bench. I would still love that scoring off the bench. He steps into a starting role for 2 games and just continues to give you 20 plus, right?
Yeah.
It's unbelievable right now. Tobias Harris continues to just be Mr. Consistent and Mr. Efficient out on the floor so far. They look good. They are fun. They are deep. Nicholas Batum has finally joined the team. Marcus Morris, KJ Martin, they're another couple days acclimated. Hopefully we get to see their debuts tonight, and we can talk about that in a couple minutes as well, as far as to who we'd want to see on the floor depth-wise. But Scotty, tell me you're not having fun with this team so far.
Absolutely, man. It's fun. The culture around the team is the best part, and the way they're playing and how they're happy for one another, getting the ball and having these nights, the confidence that guys are playing with. I mean, Kelly Oubre coming in, his career, right? He's been kind of underappreciated for where he's at in his career, coming in on a minimum contract. I mean, you just can't make up that signing. I mean, we talked about it all summer. It just felt obvious at certain points that the Sixers should go ahead and address this weakness that they've been lacking for like the last 5 to 10 years of like not having a 3-and-D type of wing. And boom, you get lucky and you get Kelly Oubre added to this team. And I thought Nick Nurse said it correctly, man. You have 4 to 5 guys in the starting lineup. I know D-Melt is not playing great basketball. I'm not sold that he can give you 20 on a nightly basis, but he is a guy that can pop off and give you 5 threes on a night. But at least 4 out of your 5 starters, man, can give you 20 points on a given night. They can average 20 points.
They did
so
it.
That's where we're at as a team right now. And then you talk about just the little additions of Patrick Beverley coming in, giving you energy. We saw a little bit of Robert Covington in that last game. You get Paul Reed, who's looked a lot better.
Paul Reed was a plus 13 in 15 minutes on Saturday.
Looked a lot better. Saw a little bit of Jaden Springer, right? Getting some guard action involved in there. There's a lot of positives with this team, man. And it just seems like Nick Nurse is pressing all the right buttons to start the season. It's insane to see competent coaching, man. Even back to Brett Brown, you just don't see the high-level stuff that we're seeing. And you know what it feels like?
No.
It feels like Nick Nurse was playing like with some like scrubs in Toronto. Like you look at what Toronto looks like when we play them now. Pascal Siakam looks like a shell of himself.
Yeah.
Like then you get Nick Nurse, you give him Joel Embiid, Tyrese Maxey in this Sixers roster that we've looked at for the last 4 to 5 years as contender in the NBA, right? For a championship ready roster with an MVP candidate perennially in Joel Embiid. It feels like Nick Nurse now has a ton of talent and he's just having fun using it all and figuring it out. And he's pressing all the right buttons and putting all the puzzle pieces in the right places, man. It's beautiful basketball. I can't stress it enough. It's beautiful to watch. It's not painful.
Scotty, think about this.
They're winning non-Embiid minutes. They're winning those minutes. Like he didn't have to come back in the fourth quarter.
It shows the depth. It shows the scoring. I think it also shows what TR tweeted here, like just the change of pace that they're playing with this year compared to previous years. And the way that Embiid's fitting into that, right? And he actually spoke on that, how they're playing much faster and he likes where they're at right now and he loves where they're at defensively. I think that's the biggest thing. Like for so long under Doc, when you watch them have to slow up in the half court and get Embiid the ball or dribble the ball through the floor for 20 seconds, it's almost like you feel like Embiid causes that because he's 7 feet tall and he's out of shape or whatever. But now you watch at the pace of which they're playing right now, and he fits like a glove, right? There's no issues. There's no limitations to what Embiid's doing in this offense right now, right? So that's the thing, man. And you talked about it. Like, Scotty, 18, 26, 22, and 25 from 4 of your 5 starters. And all we've been able to talk about through the first 5 games has been depth.
Yeah.
So if you're getting, like, if the story of this team is depth plus Embiid and Maxey, but you're still getting 4 of your starting 5 averaging close to 20 points a game, that's ridiculous. And I know that's probably not going to hold up. Tobias might not average 20 plus. Kelly's average might dip to under 20. Like, I get that. But that is impressive, man. And if you just go back over the stretch to how they're winning games since they've lost to the Bucks by 1, Scotty, they have not won a game by under 7 points.
Yeah.
7,
they're
28,
the teams
15, and 12. Like, they are playing dominant basketball. They're dominating in the fourth quarter. They're playing well in the non-Embiid minutes, like you talked about. And they're not even fully stocked yet, right? Yeah. Like, they haven't even really used the new pieces outside of Robert Covington so far.
That's the thing, man. Marcus Morris, I feel like we talked about this on Friday. I feel like he can be another guy that can go out there and get you 20. I'm not saying he's going to average 20 points.
No.
But at any time he can get hot and give you 20.
He can average 12 plus. I mean, he averaged 15 and a half 2 years ago for the Clippers.
Yeah. So there's a lot. This team still can,
Batum can come in, be a veteran that's a 3-and-D type of guy, and
Dino can play better. He can just be better,
first
right?
Of all, D'Anthony Melton can play a lot better. Let's call that what it is, because again, even though he wasn't horrifying, said he was 3 for 10, he scored 8 points.
Not good.
Whatever. Yeah, it was not pretty. But I will say this, man. I do want to get your thoughts on what Nick Nurse's plans are for the new guys in this rotation and what he's starting with. Now, again, Nick Batum has just joined the team. We'll see when they get him acclimated and get him in a role. Marcus Morris hadn't played for the Clippers this year, so maybe they're just ramping up his conditioning and trying to get him ready to go. KJ Martin's the younger guy. He doesn't know a lot about it, etc. But my thing is, there is no way that if all these guys are ready to go, and let's just say it's a week from today, that Robert Covington is the one that gets the nod. And maybe I'm being too harsh. And it is cool to see number 33 back out on the floor. And he found ways to get involved in other areas, right? He had 4 rebounds. He had 2 steals. He had a block. Turned the ball over 2 times, fouled 3 times, and went 0 for 3 from the floor, all from the 3-point line.
Yeah.
Shooting like under 20% from the 3-point line this year. I don't know.
Yeah. I feel you. I'm not like, when I saw the trade, man, I know that there's all the nostalgia that comes with Robert Covington, but he was the one that I was least excited about for this team. Now, I understand what he brings. Like, he's a versatile defender. He can be a 3-and-D type of guy when he's hitting his shot, but he's not the guy that I'm excited for. I do think when you look at it from a base level, he's the guy that you can insert without him being acclimated as much, right? That's like true. Marcus Morris is the guy. He's a guy that likes to get buckets. He's a guy that likes to score. He likes to get in position in the mid-range.
Know the offense a little bit more.
So you're going to have to figure out where to get him involved and get him to his spots within the offense. KJ Martin's just a younger guy, so maybe that's why. And then Nick Batum, obviously, personal reasons, hasn't been with the team. But, I honestly, I want to see more Nick Batum. I obviously want to see Marcus Morris, the way I've been talking about him of late. So those are the 2 guys that I'm really honing in on to become part of this rotation. I
agree. I think those are the 2.
Seamlessly. But Covington, I think he'll continue to get playing time. He just, to your point, should not be getting minutes over those guys heavily. I don't understand why that would be the case. Yeah. You know what I mean? I think those other guys
because here's what I would ask you. What would you prefer? Let's just say everyone's good to go. Would you prefer Furkan Korkmaz and Robert Covington on the floor like we're back in 2014, 2015?
Right.
Or, I'm kidding, Furkan did, but you get my point.
Yeah.
Or would you prefer Nicholas Batum and Marcus Morris in the rotation?
Yeah.
I think the answer would be the same for every single Sixers fan out there.
Yeah. And that's what I want to see. I would like to see KJ Martin, but I understand he's younger, he's untapped. So maybe you wait on that. But yeah, those are the two guys I want to see get minutes. Hoping to see those guys get minutes tonight, man. Maybe not Batum. Yeah. Maybe he doesn't play with it being his first game back, like with the team actually. But Marcus Morris, I would like to see him play tonight. It's the Wizards, man.
Yeah.
Like, come on. We can get guys acclimated against the Wizards, you would think. And Marcus Morris, he's had the whole weekend. They didn't practice on Sunday, right? He got to enjoy himself in the box with Maxey at the Eagles game. And I will say, man, I know if he gets involved in a trade, it is what it is. His money is what it is to make the deal happen. But I would like to see what he looks like in this Sixers uniform, motivated, wanting to be in this city. He's acting like this is like a dream come true for him. So I'd like to see him get the opportunity. Like I said, I get it if a trade comes along and it just makes sense, it makes the team better, and you gotta look at it as a business. But it's nice to see somebody from the city that wants to play on the Philadelphia 76ers, man.
It is. And the Furkan experience has been something else so far. He wasn't bad on Saturday.
Wasn't bad.
But he was 2
I think
for
I'm
2
just over it.
But
I think I'm over like his sporadic type of like energy.
It's the same movie.
Very like wild.
Same movie I've watched for the last 7 years. It's for every great Furkan game you get 5 blah or 5 bad.
Yeah.
But wait, could someone explain this to me? I am confused by this.
Yeah, apparently he's from Houston too, so there's no.
And he plays for
the Dallas. Yeah.
So I'm so confused by what he did. You're trolling your own fans. He's an Eagles fan. All right. Hey, I mean.
And if you're Dallas, Matt, you went from Jalen Brunson in the Eagles jerseys to now.
Yeah.
You got Grant Williams, another infiltrator there. But no, I didn't know that he was an Eagles fan, honestly, man. I really didn't. Even all those years in Boston.
But Scotty, looking ahead to wrap up this show, man, the Sixers team off to a 4-1 start. Obviously, tons of positives. Off day yesterday. Now they come back and they have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 home games over their next 6. 2 of which against the Indiana Pacers, 2 of which against the Boston Celtics, a game tonight against the Washington Wizards, and then they're on the road at Detroit to take on a young Pistons team, man. This is a stretch where the Sixers can really look to continue their hot start. Now, obviously, the Boston games are going to be another early test to see where this team ranks against the top 2 in the Eastern Conference. Both are at home, so that's definitely going to help. But when you think of a Washington team tonight and at Detroit, both games against Indiana, and I know Tyrese Halliburton's fun and they got a couple young pieces over there and whatever. This looks like a stretch where the Sixers could, what is that? 6 games, 5 games? I don't know. What's realistic to you? 4-2 over the 6?
Yeah, definitely beating the Wizards.
Start 8-3.
The Pacers are interesting. They're a team, like if they're hot, like if you have a hot Buddy Hield or a hot Miles Turner, or somebody alongside of Tyrese Halliburton, they can be dangerous, but you should win those games. Like, you know what I mean? Like one of them's an in-season tournament, so you definitely want to win those games. I don't know how you feel about competing heavily for that in-season tournament, but I'm all about competing for whatever's available. So
I don't care. Here's what I'll say about the in-season tournament when it comes to the Sixers. I could give less of a shit if the Sixers win it. But in terms of a basketball product, Sixers and non-Sixers, all the other games as well, I think you are going to see a higher level of competitive playoff-like basketball because of the incentives and the money that's out there that are going to drive these guys, right? The first day of all the playing games, dude, all those games were tight. Yeah. All those games were close and competitive.
Exactly.
So
And I do think, like, when you're looking at, 1 to 2 games a week that you have to be ultra competitive in, you go out there and get those W's and make it count. I think that's the point of the in-season tournament. But, I would agree with what Marshawn Lynch said there. 4-2, 5-1 for a team that has serious championship aspirations. You should beat the Pacers. You should beat them both times. Let's be honest.
Beat the Wizards tonight. Jordan Poole's going to take 52 shots.
Should beat Pistons, right? Like you should beat all of those teams. So that's 4 wins right there.
And what? And let's
then
split
2 games against Boston.
Split versus Boston. Yeah.
Yeah. You don't want to go down 2-0 to Boston. I will say
no.
that. Just as far as confidence, and
that would also bring up the conversation, right? Again, it's early on in the year, but let's say you handle all of the other teams on this schedule over the next 6, but you go 0-2 versus Boston. Well, then we can look around and say you're 0-3 versus Milwaukee and Boston, but you've beaten the Raptors and the Wizards and then we're back to square one of what is this team, even though they're fun and they're off to a good start. You have to just split against Boston. I'm not asking you to take both. Yeah, I know 1-2 against those 2 teams doesn't sound a lot better than 0-3, but it is because the Bucks game was the first game of the year. You lost by 1. You could have very easily won that game. And no one's asking you to sweep the Celtics in a week. You know what I mean?
These are both of your matchups against Boston that are in Philly as well. So
right,
you
exactly.
Need to split them.
Right.
But hey, man, you come out of this 5-1. Yeah, you're in a great spot. There is a chance, man. You never know. What is this team's ceiling if they can go out there and beat Boston? Still early in the season, right?
Yeah.
Boston maybe not figured out what their bench looks like yet.
Yeah.
Their starting lineup's obviously spectacular, but
it is.
You catch them at.
See, now I think by that Boston game, right, which is Wednesday, right? We have the Wizards and then them. That's where I need Nick Batum and Marcus Morris ready to go.
Yeah.
Because the starting fives are going to battle it out. You're going to give the edge to them with that talent, right? But when you look at the bench, I just feel like we're evening the playing field of Peyton Pritchard and Sam Hauser and Luke Cornett, which stink as a bench unit, even though the Celtics are undefeated somehow. That's not a good bench unit. Let's call it what it is, okay? You're evening the playing field if you're answering that with Rocco and Cork Maz and whatever.
Yeah.
Now,
you know what Boston is to me so far? They're one rotational player injury from being in trouble. Like, that's how I look at the roster right now. One of the Derek White gets injured. Knock on wood. I'm not wishing injury on anybody. Derek White gets injured. What does that rotation look like with Peyton Pritchard as your other
Drew Holiday with a little bit of injury history goes down. You know what I mean? If he goes
I'm not
down,
wishing anything. It's just
no.
There's a lack
I'm
of
telling you, like they just listen. I
know
they scored 155 the other night against the Pacers.
They're
undefeated. They're very good, and they're new with each other, so they're only going to get better. That I said this to you after the first game of the season they've had against the Knicks, which they won, obviously. They're not a deep team at all.
Yeah.
Like, dude, I'm not kidding you. This is their bench is Al Horford still, Peyton Pritchard, Sam Hauser, and Luke Cornett. I mean, are we joking?
They look
so
like
that's the area I'm looking for the Sixers to attack. And listen. You play who you play, and the Sixers have lost to their best opponent, and then they've beaten up on who they've beaten up. But the Celtics have also played the Nets, the Pacers, the Wizards, the Knicks, who I get are an Eastern Conference team, but they're just as mid as always. And then, they beat the Heat. So the Celtics have one good win on the season.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's not like the Celtics are out here beating the Bucks and the Heat and the Suns with Devin. Like, it's just, to me, they're another team that's wait and see on how that depth continues to play out.
Yeah, I agree, man. Wait and see. And we get a matchup this Wednesday. We'll get to find out. That'll be a good game to get Sixers pregame going on Wednesday.
We'll have a little DSM pregame live that night for you guys as well. But that is where the show is going to end. We will be back here Wednesday morning live on the Phaithful Phanatics show, as well as Wednesday night for Sixers pre-game live as they take on the Boston Celtics. Guys, if you want to support the channel, if you're new to the channel, if you want to be interactive throughout each and every one of our shows, make sure to smash that subscribe button, turn on notifications for whenever we go live or post a video here on the channel. Don't forget to check out our other channels as well in the DSM family, Scotty Talks NBA YouTube channel, as well as the NFL Turf Talk YouTube channel. Make sure to check those out. Subscribe, comment, whatever you got to do to be interactive with us. For myself, for Scotty, for DSM, have a great rest of your Monday.
Go Birds.